It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're having a reaction discussion video from JRD CARJAM titled Is Dead by Daylight Ruined Forever? And I'm interested in hearing this topic because obviously I've spoken extensively in the past about the state of the game, and I just want to hear other perspectives to really see if like this is something that's shared across the board, or is this something that I'm just like it's an isolated opinion that I have. I don't know.
This game is getting progressively worse and worse by the day. For those who don't know, the Krasue just came out. Incredibly overpowered off release. Now she's a little bit more fair. She's still a strong killer, but she's definitely fair. You can play against it. Indeed, against a scary trapper build. Nonetheless, that's something I want to talk about. People are DCing for everything.
Yeah, that's so true. I actually made a video talking about the sort of increase in disconnecting. If I'm not mistaken, I think I did, and I'm gonna make sure I link it at the end. But yeah, no, I've talked about this. I think that the DCing issue has really been in the game for many months. I think even before the Go Next epidemic, right? I think it's essentially just always been there. And I think with the focus shifting over to how terrible the PTB was, the changes that they were doing to implement the Go Next stuff like that, then the gen rushing was going on, which it's like objectively gotten a lot faster now. Across the board, across all MMRs, we've seen people from just like different sort of sides of the coin here, or I guess not really a coin because it only has two sides, but you get the point. We're seeing it across the board in the DBD community that gens are quicker, people are more efficient. The going next is even more prevalent, and the nerfs keep on coming, right, for the killers. And that's not just to be coping, really. It's just from what we've seen in a lot of patches. We haven't really received any substantial changes to characters that really need them. And then the ones that do receive changes are usually going to receive like nerfs to their kits or perks or whatever have you. And then obviously the whole Krasue thing drops, and then that's causing even more disconnects, that's causing even more quitting, and then that also leads to even more like efficiency. You see even more Swifts to try to combat against the Krasue, and then that also probably leads to even more killer disconnects as well. And it's just an all-around just bad time for the game right now. Which, I mean, when is it ever a good time for the game? I mean, I don't even think that is a thing that exists in this community. I don't think there's ever been a good time that the game has been at for a while. I don't think.
Fucking breathe the wrong way towards a survivor, you DC. You have certain perks as a survivor. Your teammate will DC. You have no matter. You're probably getting a DC from your teammate. If you have a skin that they just don't like, or you're playing a character they don't like, you'll get a DC. I played Krasue. I got a 100 win streak on her. I don't want to make a video on it because 90% of the fucking games are DCs. And you can go, oh, it's because she was in an overpowered state. People keep saying that, but whenever I play another killer, I continue to get DCs. I played Trapper. It took me an hour and a half to get one fucking full game with this build. One. I played a game of Oni. Oni just got a new skin. I didn't buy it. I really wanted to. But that's a part of the problem as well. I digress.
No, JRD's 100% right about that. 100% right. I think even recently I've seen people DCing against Ghostface, one of the bottom 3 killers in the game, one of the worst in the game. Like, they're DCing against him, huh? Like, against Trapper as well. Like, huh? Like, what are we talking about? Like, honestly, from my perspective, like, the game is not in a good state, and you know, coming from even a killer's perspective at this point, you're getting a lot of survivors DCing because you just happen to exist. And then on top of that, you also have the palette changes that added so many more fillers, which means The M1 killers receive yet another nerf, which then hurts them because they struggle already if they don't have anti-loop. And Skull Merchant, Ghostface already come to mind immediately. So that's already like a prevalent problem as it is. Then, because Krasue is there, you're going to end up having a lot of more sweaty teams like I mentioned earlier. And then that bleeds into it as well. So it's overall, we're not in a good place with the game. Now, like I've said, also, I don't think it's really been in a good place. Like we've noticed the going next epidemic months like ahead of time. And we've seen that was a big issue. Even before, you know, because around that time, like there wasn't really anything that broken around that time to be warranting so many ridiculously high amounts of disconnects and the constant like hook pulling that they were doing to get themselves out of the game faster.
I played a game as Oni. I don't have Lethal Pursuer. It took me maybe 15 seconds to find someone because they were stealthing pretty well. I finally find someone. I 2-tap them with my M1 because they chased them. They just looped poorly. They got outplayed. They got mind gamed. They instantly DC'd. It wasn't a bad map. They didn't have a bad setup. The generators were not too close to each other. Why are we DCing?
Well, the biggest thing that I want to add on to what JRD is talking about here, I think, is like the massive prevalent issue with the burnout that's going on with this game lately. I think that a lot of people are sort of like rage queuing, as somebody coined it. Like they're pretty salty, they should be taking a break, but they decide to queue anyway, and then they just progressively get more upset to the point that like they just take one M1 and then they're just disconnect immediately. And I think that might have to do just with the DVD community in general having this insane addiction to this game, and they just don't know when to take a break, which is really strange, honestly. And I think the reason that I think there's multiple factors of what makes the game the way that it is, right? There are so many factors, it's hard to even I don't even know where to begin. First and foremost, obviously, it's tough for the new players, with because of course there's way too much information to learn with no tutorial. So there's no tutorial, no you have custom games, but that doesn't actually offer like any information to learn. It's just like you're just playing against bots. It doesn't really give you much information. In terms of the intricacies of how perks interact and how the killer's powers interact with those things and stuff like that. The other factor is that the game is not super casual friendly in a lot of ways, I would say. Like, I know that the vast majority of players are not exactly like the best of the best by any means. Like, and even across, like, I think the vast majority of casual players play Survivor. So they already have a lot of skill issues that go along with that. Then you have the other side of things where killers like kind of require a lot of time and dedication to really like be able to master different abilities and how they interact with maps and how they interact with different perks and stuff like that. And then there's like a disconnect there. Then it's also the killers that want to win their games against a lot of people that are hyper casuals who get upset that they're trying to use strategies and stuff like that when that is in the game. And then of course that probably ends up leading to other people that are like extremely addicted too, and then they are also like just rage queuing, not taking a break. And that's sort of what has molded this community that we have nowadays, where like it's just a massive just conglomerate of confusion and frustration because of all those factors in combination with each other.
Do I blame none of the FNAF fans for playing him? No. Because, he has X. If you're a FNAF fan, you're going to go, what the fuck is this? And then on top of that, that's a new thing, which is why a lot of people aren't playing, is they're new. I have so many hours on the game, I don't really go against new players. But people in my chat who say, yeah, I started playing this game because of Springtrap, or because of The Walking Dead, or because of said new thing, aren't enjoying it either. because in order to get the good shit, you gotta spend a fucking liver and a lung. And if you want to get cool looking shit, you also gotta spend a liver and a lung. Or half your fucking life. To get this Naughty Bear cosmetic, this shit took forever of playing. I wasn't gonna spend money on this shit. Thankfully, I fucking play the game all day because I make content on it. So I was able to get it in like maybe 3-4 weeks. Now imagine if you have a fucking job. You're not getting it. You're not gonna be able to get skins until ages. Because you have to buy the characters first. You have to buy all the other characters to get the good perks. And then, if you want to play the game more at that point, you then have to buy the skins that you want to buy. And some of them are just locked behind money. You just can't even physically get them by playing the game. And it's even worse for Killer, because Killer's initial perks are terrible. Thank God Cenobite, they lost their license on Cenobite. Because his perks are actually good. You can use them in any, like, I think probably any new player is using at least 2 of them. But before that, they were terrible. Like, you have Sloppy Butcher and No End and Spies. That was, like, really it. Another topic I want to talk about is just, honestly, entitlement on both sides. Like, people are getting mad at the players for playing the new killer, or for using new things, new perks. And sometimes, especially if it's like it's a glitch and it's an exploit, it's more reasonable to get mad at that, right? Like when Conviction or Last Stand, I think it was Last Stand, was bugged. Like,
you know, I gotta agree, that's a really good point. Talking about the entitlement number 1, I gotta agree with that. That is 100% true. It is on both sides. I've seen it many times. As I've stated though, like at least when I've done research, it seems like the entitlement is extremely high, leaning towards like survivors. I guess because there's just more per match, but you end up just hearing it a lot more from them, from what I've seen. Obviously, that's anecdotal, so I can't really. You know, can't obviously give like the most solid evidence for that, but from my own perspective, that's what I've seen. A lot of it just doesn't really make a lot of sense, especially when you see the criticisms that they have or the things that they complain about when it boils down to either their teammates or themselves have a skill issue. But yeah, no, there definitely is entitlement on both ends. I've seen it. I 100% agree with that. And it is fair to also be upset that people are exploiting things in the game like Streetwise, or even like that Conviction thing or whatever it was that they just kept getting up on their own, because there's just some things that are just blatantly broken that really should not be used, but it's in the game and they use it, and unfortunately you just kind of have to take it.
You can get a little bit mad, but you kind of can't, because like it's the new thing. You want to use the new thing. But for Krasue as well, it's like you're getting mad at the player for playing the new killer, and you're DCing for the person playing the new killer. This is all we're getting for 4 months. Like, yeah, I want to use it. And even then, I kind of don't want to play it anymore. Maybe it's because people constantly keep DCing against me and I just can't actually properly get a game. Maybe it's because she's so strong and everyone is just getting shit on. Maybe it's because she is so strong, but no one actually wants to learn how to play against her. That could also be a huge thing.
I agree to that extent, mainly because, as for myself, I saw the release, I saw the trailer, I saw the teasers and everything, and I thought, you know, I'm not really interested in this character. I'm not really interested in playing this character. So I haven't purchased the character. You know, and I haven't made any content about it. I haven't posted it, like really playing the character. I have no interest in the character. I have, like, it's fine. You know what I mean? Like I've said in a previous video, you can like things and you don't have to like everything. You know, you can just, it's okay to not like things. It's okay to not, you know, buy things you don't like or whatever have you. It's okay not to do that. It's okay. You know what I mean? It's fine. And I'm just more worried about like the next drop of content, pretty much. Like, what's the next license, basically, is what I'm really worried about. It's all the thing I really care about. And that, and obviously the perks were just pretty terrible. Like those perks that they were offering really did not provide anything at all for me personally. Like those perks, I looked at them, I was like, there's going to be zero value coming out of these perks. Like there's nothing I can do with these. And so I once again didn't buy that either. I was like, oh, that's 2 reasons not to get the DLC. I'm cool with that. The other aspect obviously is the fact that they are DCing like crazy against the Krasue. You also have the idea that, you know, you want to at least try out the character and you just kind of can't. So of course it's like normal to want to be like, I don't want to play this. So, you know, it makes sense, you know what I mean? Like this, like it's okay, you know.
Honestly, this game's in a state where it's like you don't want to learn to do anything new.
Oh yeah, and then that's another good point. I see this a lot with a lot of Survivor players. Like they just tend to want to, like, they just refuse to want to engage in any sort of counterplay. I've seen that with even like with the Ghoul. I've seen that, which is, I make the comparison to Ghoul in the sense that this character's existence directly challenges the already low skill that a lot of players have when they're playing on Survivor, because of the fact that against every killer, it's just shift W, shift W, shift W. Don't have to loop, don't have to worry about mind games. You just pre-drop a pallet and hold forward, and against most of the roster. And then a character comes along like Ghoul that goes, oh, you can't do that because I catch up now. So what now? Like, make a decision. Oh, shift W? Oh, that doesn't work. Stop. Like, try again. You know what I mean? A character like that completely makes everybody upset because they're like, wow, I can't do the same mindless shift W, press space bar, keep running all day, all the time. And that, of course, gets them salty because they don't want to have to learn something new. And then, of course, that applies, at least from when from my perspective as seeing the Krasue. To me, it looked like it was one of those situations again where it's like their counterplay is there, but you're just not trying to engage with it. So to me, I feel like a lot of these like at least these releases are kind of showing that there's a lack of skill that is there that a lot of the players have, which then bleeds into balancing, and then that bleeds into updates, and that bleeds into a lot of other things that make dumb the game down essentially, and make it less skill expressive and makes it less interesting overall. And that is one factor. Now the other factor is the character was quite powerful. Like from what I've seen and what I've heard, I gotta say the character is quite strong. I'm like, hell damn, like, you know, it didn't really look that crazy when I first saw the release, but apparently the character is quite strong. But you know, like I've stated, like I wasn't really interested in trying to play the character. I just wasn't really feeling it, and I'm cool with that. Now, I do also kind of understand the idea of not wanting to try to dedicate more hours to learning things, because like learning stuff in this game is not pretty, in terms of playing killer at least. I can't speak for like understanding looping and stuff like that, because I already went through that sort of process like within the 400 hours that I have amassed on the Survivor side a little while ago. And for killers, and learning a new killer is definitely very unfun in a lot of ways. Like it really just depends on your motivation when it comes down to learning the character, of course. And I'm speaking as somebody who has at least 4 characters P100, working on a 5th one. And with those characters like being Freddy, after Ghostface, of course, Freddy, Chucky, Pyramid Head, like those characters really required me to dedicate a lot of time, but I also really enjoyed the licenses that they came from, and also the characters are pretty fun, I would say. So I think it was okay to kind of learn it, but it wasn't easy. Like it really was not easy to kind of have to do that. And losing in this game is always been very grueling. It's always been very like it always like, it isn't just like you just lose. It's like you always have the opponent trying to kind of rub it in too. So it always, I've even seen that with people that start out the game. Like it just really adds a lot of pressure to people. And doesn't feel too nice, considering, you know, you could just lose a game and it's like whatever, you move on to the next. But it's like you get the harassment afterwards that really is unnecessary. And that's just more of a symptom of the DBD community, because if you're trying to learn something, you're immediately made fun of. And, you know, that is pretty crazy, you know what I mean?
Because when you want to do something new, you kind of just get fucked. You just get fucked. You want to learn a new killer, you get rolled. You want to try a new build, you get rolled. You want to do something new on Survivor, you get rolled. If you're doing something funny and you get rolled, it makes sense, because typically the funny is pretty weak, or you throw the entire game in order to do the funny. But I don't know, it's just, this game is in a terrible state. And as much as people like don't really understand the balance of the game, the game is inherently survivor-sided. Now, before you fucking lose your...
Thank you, JRD. Thank you. I really appreciate somebody else speaking the truth. And mind you, he just stated previously, he plays both sides. He has played both sides. Has over 5,500 hours. That's pretty good. Like, I would say that's pretty much like middle of the road when it comes down to the amount of hours in DBD and what constitutes as beginner, which constitutes as intermediate, what constitutes as expert, which I've spoken about also. I don't think in a video, but I've spoken about it in the Discord, which if you want to join the community, it's linked in the description. Make sure you join and hit the rules and little knife emoji, where I spoke about it for a little bit. And yeah, like a beginner usually ranges from like, for DBD at least standards, 1,000 hours in DBD standard is like beginner. Believe it or not, like this is one of the few games that you have 1,000 hours, you're still not at the level yet. Like you're just starting out at 1,000. And considering the people that are essentially experts, I would say, with this game at this point, like Oddstarva, amassing like 10,000. I'm not even sure if they reached 15 yet. I don't know if that's too high. But considering that the experts are walking around with 10,000 hours, like at minimum, the math speaks for itself. If you got like 3 to 5, you're probably sort of hitting the middle. 3 to 5,000, I should say. But yes, thank you, JRD, for really bringing up that point as well. The game is inherently survivor favored or survivor sided. I usually prefer favored because it at least leaves room for the fact that killers can still hold their own in some aspects. But it's, I would say, favored because there's a lot of things that lean into that side that make it very easy for them. So that's mainly what we're trying to discuss.
Fucking shit. It is. It's survivor-sided. But that's also because of Swift. And I think Swift is also a huge problem. Don't get me wrong, I play on Swift all the fucking time because solo queue is terrible. But the game isn't balanced around you having any form of communication with your team. And having a Swift, even with restricted perks, where you all have repeats and the item system is you can only obtain items from chests, it's still insanely strong. Now, put 4 people with no restrictions on their perks. Or, even better yet, today, Hens was doing a speedrun with OB and 2 others. And they were fucking dogpiling killers. I think they won every game that I watched. They won every game that I watched or drew. Except one. And that's because they gave up because they knew it was going to be a long game. So they can get to the next one because they had 1 game left. They won or drew every single game. Every single one. And that wasn't even with, like, shoulder or any of that. It was only gen perks. And someone had no mither. It was all gen perks. The first gen on average popped in like 23 seconds. 23 to 24 seconds. It was insane. Now imagine, Imagine if one of the killers they went against was like a fucking pig. They probably wouldn't even reach them in 23 seconds. But even the Blight, there was a game where Blight instantly downed the No Mither player. Instantly downed him. That was the only hook he got in the game. Against good survivors, killers can't do anything. And obviously that's not every game. But the game as an entirety, optimized on both sides, is killer-sided. And I would rather them balance the game around the Swift and then buff the solo queue. And as much as they don't want to add a proc chat, it would be so good for this game. Are there going to be terrible people? 100%. There's going to be assholes. There's going to be racists.
That is the thing that I've heard extensively. And the thing is that Behavior already stated that they don't want to add any voice chat. So I think it's kind of open and shut in that sense. And I'm sort of in the camp where I don't think it's going to affect really anything. I feel like it's not. I just don't think it's going to do anything. Because you're like, despite the fact that they can communicate, I think, I don't know. Like, it's hard to say, right? Because we don't have any testing to be able to fully confirm this. So this is just off of just estimation and anecdotal evidence, right? But at least I don't think it's going to do a lot. I think that either A, it's going to strengthen solo queue so high that like the to a point, like at least it might strengthen solo queue like to a very high amount where it's even harder. The game gets even harder for the lower tiers again. You know, which I'm not saying that it's impossible, by the way. Like, you know, if you're skilled enough to be able to hold your own with your character, you can probably win very consistently. The only obstacle may be a coordinated Swift. Now, with adding communication, it's going to objectively get harder, and I think that a lot of the casual killers are going to get hit really hard because of the fact that they can communicate to some degree. So that means that you're adding a new level of efficiency that wouldn't have existed already, and then you might lose a lot more killer players because of it, because I do know that just as much as survivors have a lot of people with skill issues, there's going to be a lot of killers too that have a lot of skill issues as well, and they already are going to struggle, you know, as it is, but now even more so, which is pretty crazy.
Where Blight instantly downed the No Mither player. Instantly downed him. That was the only hook he got in the game. Against good survivors, killers can't do anything. And obviously,
also, I want to bring up, I want to add on to what JRM here is, but I want to add another point to the conversation, because I agree with this. We also see that in comp, you know what I mean? A lot of the time, when I did watch comp, a lot of the time it would have had to be based off of like hooks and sort of points and stuff like that in order to have an equal sort of thing, because they wouldn't even calculate kills some of the time, I think, or at all, because of the fact that it is that easy, especially when it's like the highest amount of hours with survivor players in a team against like the strongest killers. Like, there's a very good chance that they're gonna escape that. Like, comp shows it, Swift shows it, the patches that like lately have been showing it. And the thing is that when you like I want to touch on this as well, because I've seen a lot of like coping from survivor players that always say that it's killer sided, but they don't ever have any evidence to really prove that. Which is insane, you know what I mean? And the only time that I ever have seen evidence was when they brought up kill rate, but then they like inflate it artificially instead of saying the true value. Because they say, oh, it's at 60, so therefore it's killer sided. It's like, no, that means that it's middle of the road. Like, that means that's what Behavior wants for it to be. You know, they said that they, like, Behavior had themselves have said, like, they want killers to just get, like, pretty much 3K. That's what they're shooting for with their data. Now, how it feels to play the game and how it is to experience the game is a whole other situation. But on paper, from what they've stated, that's what they're looking for. That doesn't prove anything. Because when they had release escape rates, Swifts were at the highest with 48%. And then solo queue, I think, was like at 41 or 40 or something like that. So across the board, it was all equal. So it was still just where it was going to be, Swift being the highest of all of them. And then it would increase, I think, by a couple percentages depending on how many people were in the team at the time. And take that into account with people like across the board, like we hate solo queue. You're probably going to be going against more Swifts than not. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and end the video here. If you want to watch the original video, it'll be linked in the description. You can listen to different points that were being discussed that aren't covered in this video. The voice chat point where explaining how it could be implemented was also covered in the video. So if you want to listen to that, links in the description. While you're down there, consider supporting the channel by becoming a member, joining the Patreon, following on Twitch or TikTok, and you can watch me play Kill live on Twitch and YouTube. But with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and show everybody, all of my members, at the end of the video. But thank you guys for watching, and check out the videos. Well, I wanted to go ahead and take some time out to thank all my members from Patreon with Crow King 101, my YouTube members, Majora Jeff, Endire, Evil Peachy YT, Zero Mocker, Christian, HexDev, and Crow Vader, and for my Twitch subscribers, Cake is the Road, Danica 2002, Final Girl _ Bunny, Acklefin, Chili Cinderace, Zero Mocker, Ginsburg, Johns 117 _ Lovely Ghost TTV, JRD TTV, Zazaboo, and Crow Vader. Just wanted to thank you guys. And if you also want to have your name read off at the end of every video, make sure you join on one of these platforms to get one of those perks, as well as the other perks you get. So appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much.